Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. Yeah. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah. Escape to the metaverse. Better act like you know. You are now tuned into the Matthew and Rizzle show. Yeah.
Dude, what is up?
Dude, I don't know, man. It feels like 6,000 crypto years have elapsed since we last recorded, but we only took last week off just because of scheduling conflicts and everything. But like, shit, dude. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like the overall landscape has a really split mix of people who are wallowing in what the fuck am I doing now? Is everything imploding? And then there's like another side of people who are having a lot of opportunities and interesting shit fall their way in this bizarre landscape. And there doesn't, and honestly, man, I sort of find myself in the middle playing with AI frogs and just trying to do what I always do in times of great chaos and
having fun
in all this shit. Which I feel like we collectively do a pretty good job of So, but fucking talk to me, man. What's up with you?
No, I think you captured the situation. Like it's like a split camp type situation. Half or more than half. It's hard to quantify how many folks are absolutely like. I guess the word of the week is like crashed out or crashing out. Not knowing like what the F is next, unhappy with the current state of affairs, for lack of a better expression, not winning, I guess. And then you have other side of the coin where folks are saying that this is it, we're winning. Trump's in power now. We're gonna get like more sensible regulation. Things are going to move in our favor. We got the tailwinds working, no longer headwinds in our way. You have people selling art again for like large sums that folks are stoked off of. but again, like they're two split camps, and it's like a growing valley in between them is probably how I describe the vibe. There's good and bad. I still think it's like glass half full. Things are, what's a good way to say this? Recalibrating, I guess, based on all the changes, right? All right, let's try to zoom in and try to sift through some things, and maybe. I think last week we were thinking about recording on Friday, which came a day after the Maker's Place announcement of them winding down their concern. And that was probably the first like big change in our neck of the woods. So let's zoom in there. And then over the weekend, some other shenanigans happened with, at the time, to be President Trump and his family. But yeah, Maker's Place, pour one out for him. What are your thoughts on what went down there?
I think it's sort of sad, man. Honestly, I feel like at the end of the day, it's hard for me to believe that it would have cost a significant amount of funds to keep the lights on over there, and I feel like they went the way of a lot of projects where they got like overly ambitious during the last hype cycle, probably raised a lot of funds and have been, got bloated and are slowly been bleeding out since then. And all this shit is done by smart contracts. And it pains me to see a lot of these projects like sort of unnecessarily go down in flames, in my opinion. Whereas like, it didn't need to go that way, and I think we're case in point, man. Like the Whip is one of the longest standing projects in Web3 right now, like point blank. There's not a whole lot of other company we have out there, and the company that we do have has been able to maneuver, man. And I think that's sort of the way that I'm struggling with people being very caught off guard by all the attention shifting in a really stupid direction, because this is what always happens, right? And I feel like every cycle, having been in this shit since like, pretty much what's considered the beginning now, man, like, 2012. Every cycle there's the money comes in, there's a lot of attention on some shit that makes the developers who are actually working on the tech like roll their eyes and get discouraged. And every cycle it gets a little bit bigger, but the same type of shit happens. And then the onus is sort of on us to be able to maneuver and adapt with the changing landscape. And in my opinion, the onus is also on us to be able to do that with the ethos that this is sort of all built on in mind. But being able to do that while the ground is constantly shifting underneath of you is a challenge, man. And it's difficult to stay relevant, and it's difficult to stay out in the mix here for a significant portion of time. And that's why, man, because and historically the cycles have been quicker than this. This was a long time since like the last bull market compared to how these crypto cycles have gone. But all the previous ones are the same, man. The ground shifts drastically underneath of everybody, and you got to figure out how to either keep your shit going forward in a way that dovetails with everything else and resonates with people, or fucking, burn it down and start over with something that feels good. And that's just sort of like the nature of the beast out here. And I feel like we're really just seeing this on an extremely magnified scale. And to see some OG projects, man, just pack it up when I feel like it really wasn't necessary. Man, I just keep thinking about Polygonal Minds, honestly, dude. And I'm like, shit, had they stuck around for 6 months, man, man, it fucking... I love Toxam and Sinks and that crew so much, man. And I really, and I'm a little bit out of the loop. I've been heads down myself, working on my own shit. And I'm a bit out of the loop with what they've been up to, man. But I hope they fucking find their way out here, because, man, they were right there. And I know, their hand was sort of forced, and fucking tough, dude. It's tough to be out here on a regular clip.
Yeah, real quick on the Toxam Polygonal Minds tip. I think probably in short order we'll see a phoenix like rising from the ashes with him and probably at least, if not the entire subsection of the former Polygonal Minds crew. Oh, yeah. Just with what's going on with like Hyperfi, Jin, Ash, AI16Z, like that whole neck of the woods. I think he's going to be good, and they're going to come back stronger than ever. Yeah. So like, that's sort of like a loosely held, but strong bet I've made with myself for 2025.
Dude, let's manifest it, right? This is the time to no, seriously, dude, this is, I feel like we manifested, let's just take responsibility. We manifested the Jin and Ash collab, and let's fucking throw Toxam and them into the mix, dude. This is the time for the community to squat up, man. We're the biggest brains out here.
100%. And then I think you're spot on with Maker's Place. You're alluding to them taking funding. I believe that was the case. There was the change in leadership from Danny to, I forget the individual and the crew that took it over and started to focus more on fine art, make it like more of an exclusive platform. And they made a concerted effort towards that end, in a thesis that they had, that you could be more exclusive, try to get more fine digital arty, and that they did some great things for some great artists. Jeremy Booth is probably the last one that I particularly remember from their recent releases. But again, when you take external capital, like that money wants more money in return, right? It's not like a patronage play. It's not like let's wait a few decades and see where we land. They want to scale. They want more immediate results. And the approach is just not set up to deliver venture style returns anytime soon, at least on a larger like scaled basis. So it probably makes sense for them talking with their investors, letting them know like results, like what they've put into some of these productions, which again, from the inside back in Nifty days, a lot of these productions, like it costs a ton of money. And then talking with other individuals, in order for Maker's Place to work with some of these folks, they're adjusting rates and things like that, doing things on the sleeve, and then that costs a lot of money. And if they're not getting anything back from that, a lot of the investors are probably just like, "Yeah, how much runway do you have left? Yeah, could I get that back?"
Yep.
Is again, without really knowing what went down, that is my best guess about what went down. So it makes sense that, I mean, if that happened, then they have to close up shop right away. Like there's literally no way for them to continue proceeding. And unfortunately, a lot of good people got caught up in that. RD to the Moon, Elinor Brizzi, a bunch of other good people working in there. So you hate to see it, but again, like choices made have results. The market is what it is today. Super rare. It is really the last one standing.
I was gonna say.
Yeah, Nifty Gateway has billionaire bosses, right? That goes a long way. Who want to support culture. Again, that's not venture style, venture capital approach. It's a totally different framework to operate within, and that is what it is. But like that's what we have today.
Yeah,
and then you have a bunch of independent, more nimble outfits producing and supporting artists. Like you see, like Kim Asendorf with their Pixel Decks release, nearly sold out, 256 on-chain, real-time generated works of art. Selling between, it's hard to determine like what the actual selling price for these are, but like between 0.5 ETH and 1.5 ETH. So like a massive sale, nearly sold out, with secondary just a floor at 10.5 ETH. So you're seeing things that are winning. It's not completely dead. If other art's not working, if another platform's not working, again, our market has spoken. It's not to say there's anything like bad about the art. Models and the art it's just not jiving together, and you need both sides to work together. Is the unfortunate reality. But like to your point, dude, you got to iterate. You got to be nimble. Something's not working. Okay, you can feel bad about it for a little bit, but then pull yourself back together and figure out like what really still actually excites you. Take another shot on goal and go from there. You can't wallow too long in this space. Everything's moving quickly. But the flip side is, if you're sad today, if you take advantage of the pace and speed at which the space moves, you know you're going to have another crack at goal relatively soon if you get your shit in order and get in a position to take that shot on that goal.
100%, man. I really feel like it's a short-sighted decision, and with Maker's Place closing up, man, and I agree with you. From this point forward, man, I agree with you. The platforms are a moving target. The landscape's going to change, but if you look at the context of the crypto art scene as a genuine art movement, I feel like on a long enough continuum, man, these Maker's Place tokens, these known origin tokens, I'm calling them tokens because that's how the art is being captured. But I feel like it goes down as OG art, man. It's the start of a thing that will never not be a thing moving forward. Like I despite all of the fucking discouraging sentiment and everything, NFTs are here, man. And you can't get rid of them. And I firmly believe that one form or fashion, NFTs in general will continue to be relevant. Catch another hype cycle. Who knows what direction it'll be pointed at? But if you push all that shit aside, man, and you look at it from a purely art standpoint, I'm like, dude, Maker's Place was fucking deeply entrenched in like the history, the early history of the beginning of a very fucking real global art movement. And I feel like they packed up shop, man, 6 months early. And I keep thinking about Super Rare too, man. I'm like, God damn it, like keep the lights on, because like it's important. I think to a lot of people beyond the context of like, you know, the value of the currency, the value of the token, like, you know, it really, especially for those of us who were there early on, man, we were in it when there wasn't money flying around and it was purely about the art, and that all that shit is still out there, man. And people using, you know, the blockchain itself as a canvas or as part of their canvas. And I think we got to throw art blocks in there, man, as one of these. I mean, I don't think we definitely have to throw art blocks in there. It's just more of an unconventional art platform, but that has been there since fucking jump, man. And I'm like, you know, these platforms have all the benefit and very little to lose by figuring out some fucking way to keep the lights on and stay entrenched in the history that they created. They played a heavy role in creating.
Yeah, and like the flip side of that is making sure that, like what you were mentioning before, like these digital artifacts, the NFTs themselves, like they're going to be around for a while. Like what the not 100% completely on chain NFTs, and specifically the metadata and the images that the NFT tokens are pointing to, making sure that stays around. There's other people working on solutions there. In a couple of weeks, the Build Tree team from the folks at NFT Studios, like Leandro and crew, like they're going to push out on their new platform, Build Tree, a solution that makes it easy for non-technical people to make sure that the image metadata, all of that stays as permanent as the tokens themselves on the Ethereum mainnet, wherever folks are minting these days. So again, keep the lights on, and then at the other end of the spectrum, make sure that the technical side of things stays robust, so that like consumers and collectors and everything like that don't have to go through like an Armageddon, like end of the world moment, on top of having some of the brands and platforms that people have come to know and expect to be around disappearing. So yeah, it's good things happening. I think the good teams, they've realized from earlier on they needed to start to iterate and adapt and slim down operations, but in a way that makes sense for them, that keeps things interesting longer term. So we'll continue to see that. And again, new players coming in alongside some of these established, more slimmed down players. Sovereign.art comes to mind. You got new, like, sort of baby competitors to OpenSea and Highlight coming through. Of course, you got OpenSea themselves ready to shop a token. Magic Eden over in the corner. You got Gamma still around. Honestly, I mean, don't fade Object too. Say what you will about Tezos and that whole neck of the woods, but Object continues to stay steady, getting better, in my personal opinion, how they're presented, specifically on the art side of things, artists, and that ecosystem is still, again, orders of magnitude smaller than other parts of the sphere, but it's a place for artists to stay active, collectors for the joy of collect and be able to participate and collect amazing artists. There's a lot of bright spots. They may be like spread out quite far from one another, which makes and presents the appearance of being a little bit dimmer than folks would expect. Shit's there. And that's just like on the art side. There's other experiments that are being run, will be run, to get other folks excited in other parts of the ecosystem. So it's just, again, what we've learned from the whip. We sort of kind of ride the winds of what's exciting to people across the NFT space and crypto space writ large. And you gotta be open to experiencing things you're not necessarily seeking out. And you do that by coming together, the critical mass of folks that are trying to do an experience and be open to the same thing, which is like, I don't know, didn't mean to get to the whip, but shout out the whip.
No, dude. Yeah, dude, it's good, man. I feel like I've been doing a pretty good job of it, man, and trying to just fucking go with what speaks to me and what's fun and everything. And I'm a shill for a second, man, because we I see Trizzlet out here like lurking in the audience and everything, and been fucking working on this Skunkworks thing, just rapid experimentation with all this shit. And I feel like, dude, if you're here for the tech, which a lot of us are, man. A lot of us who are here early on, like, have managed to make a fucking, career path out of this. But like, that's what originally brought a lot of us here. There's so much fucking fun shit to play with now, man. And been fucking working with Trizlets under this fucking Skunkworks thing that I set up just to fucking pull homies into projects and fucking do bullshit. And, we set up a fucking link tree for it. And we've got another AI. We got a fucking subduck that we're rolling into the mix with the other AI agents. That's going to be hawking some shitty NFT collection that gets rolled into this dumbass ecosystem. And it's someone dubbed it like a piece of AI performance art. And I think I might have mentioned that to you on our call about the whip the other day. And I was like, dude, I fucking like that. I'm going to roll with that idea. And someone else sort of mentioned that they're here for this kind of AI art or whatever. And I'm like, I didn't really think like that's what was initially going on here. It seemed like a really dumb experiment, but I feel like this is the more we dig deeper into getting these idiotic frogs and characters talking to each other with their shitcoin, and now they're starting to interact with each other. And I find myself opening social media, like genuinely like intrigued, and like the one character, like Karen, mistakenly like tweeted a piece of Python code the other day, and I'm like, well, that's weird. But to see like how these things, we're in the very, very early stages of like all this tech, and to be able to put out some dumb shit and within rapid experimentation time and see how they interact with each other, and just sort of string a bunch of these dumb pieces together in a way that strikes me as entertaining and funny. There's a lot of like, it's the barrier to entry is still very low if you're willing to take the time, put in the sweat equity, right? Like none of these things cost a lot of money or extremely, never mind, let me walk that back. A lot of these things are extremely difficult to string together and put together and to coordinate and to get talking to each other and to, launch their own shit and like all this stuff. However, man, the beautiful thing about this space, and one of the reasons that I still feel like beyond all the meme coin bullshit and reasons that people are getting discouraged out here, is there really is an opportunity to put in sweat equity. I don't know why I said that so strangely. Sweat equity, build something that you genuinely enjoy and speaks to you. And if it's cool, man, other people pile onto it. And if not, it's not a whole lot lost other than time. And, you can learn from it and build on it and find other people who are interested in the same thing and just keep fucking iterating. And, that I feel like that's sort of always been like the spirit of the space, and some people like get. I feel like over the continuum, man, people get stuck at they iterate up to a certain point, but then they like it there, and they forget that you just can't stop, and that's the only way to keep it going on the bleeding edge of tech.
Yeah. And shout out Skunkworks, what y'all are doing. Again, tokenized experimenting at its finest, seeing what works, having fun in public. I think that's the way. Like, again, trying to lead by example. I think with like Cameron is another builder that's like, yes, we're trying to do the same thing. Rebase is doing a little bit of experimentation, the LP staking reward side. Last week, we had this like crowd pool for LP incentive funds focused on like this blue meme by Augusti, this dev with this like blue elephant that's like autoflated. It's a new meme. It's wild. It's funny. It's just somehow very lighthearted, and it has this like burgeoning community of token holders that are like stoked on it and keep generating new memes. We're like, all right, let's keep this around. Let's help fund it. And for all these new tokens out there, buying and holding is not enough. You gotta kind of grow the pie and bake the pie yourself. And you do that by like adding liquidity, like being a market maker, right? But you need to be incentivized to do that. So adding these extra token rewards on top of that. So folks that are actually helping to grow the pie for everyone by setting up a pool on Uniswap or something, they can stake those positions, which are tokenized themselves, earn more rewards on top of the fees that they get by becoming a liquidity provider, because you get these split like ETH and like token based rewards when you set up LPs, which has been a revelation for me, and sort of demystified the whole like, well, why would you add liquidity? You're going to lose it all. I heard this thing, permanent loss, which still is true, but the fee model is like, holy shit, when you get a token you add liquidity to, that starts to get traded more frequently, those fees add up, even if you're not like a whale that adds liquidity. So we're trying to do this experimentation on that front, trying to demystify it. Much harder sell than what y'all are doing. Much less fun, to be quite honest. But again, trying to run these meaningful experiments, or experiments that have meaningful outcomes. I love it.
If there's some way to fucking stake hops for some idiotic anything or some not idiotic anything, man, fucking get Cameron in the skunk works here, and let's do some dumb shit together.
And hops is a soul token too, right?
Yeah, hops is a soul token.
I feel like that's the next, or maybe not next, but future update. We got to support the soul ecosystem and staking over there to demystify that. It's the next frontier after Ethereum.
Yeah, dude, stake some hops to get some of that, base stuff. It doesn't matter, man. Anything. Let's just do things. Like, right? I mean, I'm like, why not, man? Like, dude, this is, I keep coming back to this, man. And I'm like, I feel like 2021, I almost got like gaslit by a lot of the big money coming in, acting like they knew the best path forward, when in the back of my head it like never really felt right, and I stuck to my guns, man. And a lot of us who did, have proven to be correct. And now this time around, I'm like, you know what, man, we really are the fucking biggest brains out here. Like, the community that started early on in NFTs and Web3, I mean, basically built the entire industry. And a lot of us had been involved in crypto like long before that, man. And so like, we may not be, in the limelight or making the big decisions, in terms of, how this all shakes out and everything. But in terms of being able to wield this tech in any direction that we want to, like very few people have this level of understanding of how to do this, and the learning curve is fucking steep, and you can't just AI yourself into understanding 10 years worth of blockchain history. It's just there's just a lot of shit. So I'm like, dude, let's get the big brains and do the things, and some of them should be really interesting and innovative and move society forward, and some of them should be absolutely stupid and fun, because that's what a lot of us loved, that got us here in the first place. So there's room for both.
100%. I have no idea why you inspired this idea as you're talking, but the sort of like the way that like things go in this space, like whether you're quote unquote like at the top and everyone recognizes you, or you're more like under the radar, everyone can have an impact, and they can take advantage of what's been built here. It's sort of like the building in public, the permissionless nature of what's being built and what has been built. And that sounds weird probably to a lot of people that are not in the space, but recently I started bouldering with my family, going to like a rock wall climbing outfit over here in Portland. Some amazing companies that have just absolute incredible facilities for that. And that, up until a couple weeks ago, was like, seemed like the hardest thing in the entire world. Super unapproachable. You need a bunch of gear. So I thought, hit it up, got a pair of shoes. The whole family have been falling in love with it. And it seems complex. There's all these different paths you can take, varying degrees of difficulty. you can get on one, you fail, but it's like this open physical riddle that you solve by approaching it in a different way, like very quickly. Like you fall off, you get back up, you try a different way, and still like struggling to put the metaphor together. But the similarities with building in crypto and being in crypto and bouldering, quite similar. Like the ability to quickly iterate, attempt like a new path as something omnipresent if you actually take the decision to move forward. Quite similar there. I don't know. We're going to work on that, that metaphor for bouldering the crypto, but you inspired that.
Dude, I like it. And I also like the fucking idea of you all bouldering together. That sounds like super fun and wholesome, and something that I would enjoy. Dude, I'll roll with the sports analogy while we're doing it, man, because it's one I think of often, man. And I grew up and still played basketball like my entire life, and I think it's sort of the same. I think of the crypto and the knowledge base out here is similar to that, and similar to like playing an instrument, man. It's like one of those things where. If you can ball, man, you can ball anywhere. You know, if you can take it to a foreign country, you can take it, and you don't need to speak the language. You know, if you got the skill set, you've just got it. You know what I mean? If you can play an instrument, you can show up somewhere, and if you're in a group of people who needs you to play that instrument, you can just play. And that's how I feel about the nature of this space, like very much. And again, man, thinking of Toxam, I'm like, dude can just ball, you know what I mean? Like straight up. So, you know, there's a level of like skill and understanding that comes with just having been out here for a long time, being able to solve the riddles on the fucking boulder path and maneuver those things without just getting discouraged and being like, oh, this shit is too complicated. Like, you know, it's one of these things that, you know, if you've been here and you got the chops, you can sort of take it on the road and find your way out here amidst all the uncertainty, as long as you continue to keep your skills sharp. And I like that, man. I feel like it also, as as time has gone on, the people who have been around as long as we have really fallen off significantly over time, because I think it's so difficult to stay current and stay relevant and stay on the cutting edge of things, because you got to be you got to have a love for like constant learning, man. And I think that's like one of the unspoken things that you and I have in common that is really carried us through this whole time, is that you've got to really just be able to fucking nerd out on this shit and love what's coming next and the unpredictability of it. And it's just a constant period of learning that you just got to love it. You got to entrench yourself in it.
Being a student of the game. That's what it boils down to. I mean, the analogy with sports and some of the best players of all time, you look at how they approached the game. They were students of the game, like at base. Of course, they were endowed with incredible physical abilities and talent, right? But thinking about like Kobe, just going back and like relentlessly watching tape. Of games, going back to the beginning, studying different players. Same thing in football. Like the individuals that go back and study the tape, that look and try to find and figure out like what the other teams bring in again, that student of the game approach totally translates over here. And if you're not hungry for learning more, you're gonna have a hard time. It's probably not going to work out. But if you have that approach to be open to learning more, and a lot more, probably going to have pretty good results. Yeah, that's a super sharp insight.
I think I feel like AI lost a lot of people. I feel like, as I'm sort of thinking about our conversation here, I feel like that was a big like transition point or inflection point, and it was like sort of a slow burn for a little while it transcended into like art specifically, but now I feel like so much attention is just on AI in general that I feel like that was sort of the beginning of like a lot of the souring sentiment. towards NFTs and Web3 scene in general, which I think is, I don't know, man. I just feel like it hasn't caught its cycle yet. Everything sort of comes in that, and we're always the fucking the runt on the block or whatever in the art scene or whatever. But that tracks across history as well, you know?
Yeah, and like there's a lot of noise, which I think loses people. You got to sift through that to try to find the signal of like what's really there when it comes to AI, especially today, and then thinking through, well, it's here today, it's moving quickly, like where could it be? Like, but there's a lot of noise. You gotta push through a lot of noise, a lot of vaporware, and for people that have been through multiple cycles, there is an amount of wear and tear that you experience, and if you're not, again, if you don't have this like intrinsic passion to keep pushing through it and persevering for the good stuff, that wear and tear really does take a toll. And some people just need to kind of tap out and take a break, right? That's also very true and something very important. And even for folks that have that fire in them, like you gotta balance things. You gotta make sure that you got health overall. Else, keep your family unit as close as possible. Again, also tricky on that front, but you got to make sure that you're doing you in a way that sustains you and your passion to keep that fire alive over time. So it is understandable we had a drop when that came on of folks. But again, it's how it flows. And as long as you got a core crew around you, you'll rebuild and you'll keep going from there. And we see that writ large across the space too. On top, couple that with what's going on the in America, on the regulatory front, or at least what a lot of people are presuming is coming on the regulatory front, with a little bit more, hopefully a lot more clarity, but also like more hands off, like let's incentivize builders and bring the best and brightest and all the money as much as possible into the American framework to go forth and make even more innovation that leads to increased revenue and jobs and stuff like that. That's a whole other beast to kind of like wrap our minds around and try to tackle, with the central figure being the president of the United States now, who like fucking last Friday launched a meme coin and then in short order had his wife launch their own meme token, which like sent the whole industry into a tailspin and like I think that's what caused a whole other round of crashing out for some folks that have been around for quite a while, which is just, it's like, I don't even know how to process it. It's even hard to process, start thinking about processing what all that entails at this point.
I mean, we just got no. I say we, dude. I didn't fuck with that, man. It's a presidential pump and dump, man. And I mean, literally, you know. I mean, you can look at the charts, man, and dude, it's a. I don't know, man. I like the idea of brilliant minds being in the United States working on this stuff. Part of me feels like a lot of them are already gone, man. Most of the people I work with are overseas at this point. I would like them to be closer in proximity. I also think that shit, like, this is the type of shit that like really sours serious people's take that this is a legitimate industry. And this is what we ran into back in 2021 with sort of everything being obfuscated by bullshit and shitty NFT collections. And, you know, that was when NFTs caught their hype cycle, and every day you woke up to a new animal and all the money was flowing in. And then you had like serious people looking at this being like, well, this is idiotic bullshit and a casino. We're not going to actually fuck with this. This is not serious technology. And I feel like that is what that does, right? On like a massive scale, people are just like, oh, this is a means to liquidate a whole bunch of dumb motherfuckers for your personal gain. And this isn't serious tech. And So how that shakes out in the long run, man, I don't know. Maybe it doesn't matter because nobody remembers anything, and 2 weeks from now we're on to another news cycle. Yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like the landscape is really fucking interesting now. It does feel like the restraints are off in terms of no one gives a shit about anything. So now is the time to throw caution to the wall a little bit, launch some shit, and see what happens. And everyone's sort of doing the same thing, so you're in good company. I don't know, man. I feel like every third podcast we come back to this, like, damn, dude, fucking, this is a fascinating place to work in and constantly fucking evolving. And who knows where we'll be a few weeks from now.
Yeah. And honestly, that's probably as good of a place to leave that as we're going to find, because it's mind-breaking to think through, like, all the implications, positive and negative. And there are positive and negative implications, and I think you highlighted them like really well. So we can leave that there. Real quick before we dip, I got a hard stop at the top of the hour. But we got the whip coming tomorrow already. The week always goes quick. Want to tease that a little bit?
Yeah, man, we got Felix coming back on, talking about Cypher Dudes. I don't want to give away too much, but it seems like we'll be getting some alpha, as we have been doing a great job of getting we do a great job of aggressively hounding people for alpha. And we've done that for many years. And now it seems like that's, people show up knowing that that's a thing that they need to do. Which I love that we've established that culture. So without even me saying hey man, you got any thing to share? He's like, might have some stuff. So we might have some stuff, and we might have.
I know we're gonna have some stuff. It's a soul-bound piece of alpha. They teased it a little bit on the timeline today. But since we do have a bunch of Cypher Dude holders in the audience, it's going to be directly applicable to them. And then also just for folks that are on the periphery that have been clocking that project, to your point, the alpha fire hose has been wide open over the past, for this year's whips in particular. I just been really surprised with the level of alpha folks have been sharing. We got a nice little cozy corner, makes people feel very comfortable, open. You love to see it. So I really can't wait to unpack all the details with Felix tomorrow about Cypher Dudes at the whip.
Hell yeah, man. We have another guest or two being confirmed in the mix that I think people will be excited about. We'll see what happens there. And yeah, dude, should be said it for years, man, but the more we do it, the more the whip feels like it's really important. And I feel like other people, it's I don't know, it's important to me, man. I don't want to speak on other people's behalf, but feels good to Hyperfy gave us a nice shout out from their main account a couple days ago, or maybe it was yesterday.
A couple times already. Shout Hyperfy out. Love it. Love to see that.
Hey, dude, we were all up in their shit early. So, and we don't always get that, man. We've been all up in a lot of really critical stuff early, and a lot of those people and projects sort of move on and do big things and forget about little old us being frogs running around the metaverse. But dude, Hyperfy, they're stuck with us frogs. We run hand in hand. So it's good to get some love from them for sure.
Boom. There we go. All right, dude. Well, I'll get you in the metaverse tomorrow at the whip then.
Hell yeah, man. See you there. Later, dude.
Peace. Boom. Trizzle, Dragonate's mom, Icalium. Shout out to y'all for sticking through and listening to this. We'll see all of y'all, hopefully, tomorrow at the whip. Until then, good night.